wanna do now is making it last. Mothers and fathers, sisters and brothers, friends forever, strengthening the ties that keep us together. Mothers and fathers, sisters and brothers, friends forever, strengthening the ties that keep us together.
Welcome to Making It Last podcast, where it's all about helping you to have better relationships, not just with yourself, but with other people. And the topic for our conversation is this time around is how can stress impact relationships? I have a friend with me, Roxanne White. Welcome.
Thank you for having me again. I always enjoy our time together.
Yes, likewise.
Yeah.
Likewise. So Roxanne and Roxanne, outside of being my friend, she also did a degree in psychology. So she does have some level of expertise on this in case somebody's going to say, oh, it's because I'm your friend. No. Yeah. She
But
does
then,
have.
but then you
have the
you only
theory.
have friends who are sensible people.
I try. I try. Doesn't always work, but I try. Let's stay on
Okay,
track.
okay,
All right,
okay,
So how
we're
can
back.
stress impact
How
relationships?
can stress impact relationships? We kind of need to establish that there are two kinds of stress.
Good.
People generally tend to focus on one aspect of
The
stress,
stress.
which is distress. That's the negative type. But you have what they call eustress, which is the positive type. So eustress would be like having to prepare for an exam. It pushes you to spend time studying and putting in the necessary work that you have to do to be successful. It's also the thought of getting a raise or a promotion. It pushes you to work hard. But people don't really spend time talking about that. And
That's
everybody
true.
knows about distress. Oh, I'm stressed out. The bills need for pay, whatever. We all know about that. But some of the things that stress does, for one, it causes isolation. So two persons, whether it's a family relationship or intimate relationship, persons are experiencing stress, and instead of reaching out to somebody, they isolate themselves, kind of like trying to deal with it all by themselves. And in some instances, in the initial stages, isolation may be good in the sense that you kind of need some time to reflect and
get some perspective
and get some
sometimes.
perspective, introspect. But when you find that you're isolating yourself to the point where you're not able to function on a normal level, and you find that a lot of your thoughts are negative and all that, then isolation during that time is not really a good thing. And isolation can lead to other things like the breakup of relationships. Because if you're going through a stressful situation and you cannot share with the person you're in a relationship with to say this is what is going on, and you are keeping to yourself, and this person probably even sees you online or something like that, they may think, oh, so you're ignoring me.
Right.
And they may start looking for comfort in other places, or just decide that, all right, this relationship isn't working, so I'm just done. You find persons who don't necessarily isolate themselves, but they take out everything on the persons they're in a relationship with. And that causes stress for the other person. It causes communication issues. And all of those things lead to so many other things. And you find that there are a lot of persons with mental health challenges. It generally starts from stress. So they encounter a situation, and it could be huge stress as well. Because there are some persons who don't handle changes very well, even though the change is a good change. So it could be that they just graduated from school. It could be that they just got a new job. It could be that they just got a new promotion and they start thinking about all the things that come with it, all the changes. They may have to move away from what they're used to, the familiar things, and it causes them to get all stressed out. Some people shut down and some persons isolate themselves. When you're isolating yourself and there is not enough support, then that starts to lead to
spiral into other things. Or escalate.
Yeah, like depression and anxiety. And sometimes you find that all of those come together because in psychology, they have something called comorbidity, where you have depression, you have anxiety, you have like 2 or 3 things happening all at once. Right? Yeah. So when you're in a situation like that, it's like everything is tied up and wrapped up. So to deal with that is kind of hectic. But we spent a lot of time talking about the negative effects of stress. You have the positive effects of stress, where stress can actually aid in relationship building. So you're feeling particularly stressed out about something, and you reach out to your family or your friends or your spouse or your partner, and you say, hey, I have a situation at work. This is what is happening. And you get some perspective. Because when you're stressed out, sometimes your brain kind of shuts down and you're not able to think clearly. So you get perspective. And seeking perspective from someone, it makes them feel good to know that you trust them enough to come and share that this is what is happening in my life.
That like your input.
Right. And you find that persons who go through stressful periods together, always, their relationship is always better afterwards because, I mean, we survived this. So there's what else is there that we can't survive together? Right? So stress causes persons to reach out for support, which aids in relationship building. And it pushes them to learn something new. It develops problem-solving skills. Because if, for example, I'm learning how to manage money. When I was still living with my parents, certain financial decisions were always made with my mom. So I had a number of changes all at once. I got a new job. The job required me moving away from my parents. For the first time, I was the one responsible for making not just financial decisions, but also other decisions. And I had to go learn about budgeting. I did not know how to budget before, but I went and I learned about budgeting. I learned to make plans, to consult with people so that plans match up with the budget. You learn self-discipline to stay within
the budget.
To stay within the budget. So being stressed out about something caused me to learn several new things, because it was not just about learning how to budget. It was getting a heightened sense of discipline to know that I need to stay.
Because if not, you're going to then add to your stress.
Add to the stress. And when I'm stressed out on a level that is beyond usual, I'm one of those persons who shuts down, isolates myself, and I tend to sleep a lot during that time. Like the winter bears.
So that is your coping mechanism.
That's my coping mechanism.
Because it's a nice segue into what I was going to say. What then would be some other ways you'd recommend for individuals to cope with stress? Because if it can then, and of course, we're going to zero in on the negative, if it can then impact on your relationships, not necessarily in a positive way, what then can we say to individuals to help them to cope with stress?
First of all, you need to know what triggers the stressful reactions.
Okay.
Because for different persons respond to different situations differently. And me doing an exam will not cause me to be negatively stressed, while that may affect you. So it's something that you have to pay attention to. When you know the things that trigger you, then you can create a plan around that. So first of all, you have to know what triggers it. Secondly, you have to know what your body is telling you when you're stressed. Like, have you ever been angry and don't know that you're angry? Or you're stressed out and not
Yeah.
realizing that stress is what is causing you a headache or causing you to have tense muscles. And you need to pay attention to what happens in your body
When
you're stressed. Because your body does tell you a lot, but the thing is,
sometimes we don't pay
we
attention.
don't pay attention. And even if we're trying to pay attention, we're not sure what to connect it to. So once you're able to identify what triggers you, and you're able to identify how your body responds to stress, then you could start to experiment with different ways of dealing with your stress. Some persons listen to music.
Okay.
Some people draw. One of the things I do is take photos and then I'll sit for hours and edit them. Other persons, they spend a lot of time hanging out with their friends who kind of make them forget about everything. There are persons who color. There are persons who watch funny videos on YouTube for hours or binge watch some series or something like that. So you have to experiment to
find out what
works for you. And try to find a balance. Planning ahead is something that also minimizes stress. A lot of us are guilty of not planning ahead. When you plan ahead and you anticipate all the different things that may possibly come up, then you know how to make plans to address these possible things. So if it does happen, you're very good at that.
I am a big believer in that. That's why I think sometimes people probably wonder, why is it that I plan so far ahead? When I do that, whether it's events or with certain things, it's then a matter of execution. So then it gives me time to deal with the eventualities.
Yeah, because you're able to put certain things in place. So like some time ago, I was asked to assist with a shoot. I don't have a camera for myself.
I was just about to tell you, just pause right there and explain what that is, so somebody who's listening might not understand what that terminology means. Yes, the shoot.
I had a photo shoot.
There you go. All right.
I had a photo shoot and I don't have a camera for myself at the moment. So I usually use a friend's camera.
Okay.
But when I was there sitting thinking about it, I'm like, I need to pick it up. But I just felt within myself that I needed to make some other arrangement. So I went ahead and I rented a camera.
Okay.
So I was saying that if anything, I'd use this camera as a primary camera and have the other one as a secondary camera, so I don't have to be changing lens and all of that. And it turns out that the person I was supposed to collect the camera from, I didn't get it until the end of the day that I needed it for. Had I not rented the camera, then all hell would have broken loose. So it's important to learn to plan ahead. It helps quite a bit.
Okay.
Yeah.
Anything else you want to add? You said know your trigger factors. You said find out what works for you. And of course, plan ahead. Anything else in terms of how best to cope with stress? Because if we're telling people that it can impact, we must then be telling them, what is the quote-unquote way out. So anything else as we're wrapping up?
For me, I'm a person of faith. Not everyone who's listening might be, but as a person of faith, I believe that there is a being that's higher than myself. And I find that when I'm staying in constant relationship with God, I'm significantly less stressed. I've always heard about the peace that passeth all understanding. I didn't understand it until I actually experienced it. For somebody who is listening, it may not be their faith in God, but it may be something else. Find something to hold on to, a kind of like a why of some sort that kind of pushes you. So if it is that you want to be able to leave a great legacy for your younger siblings or your children or your parents, when you're in moments when you're highly stressed and you feel like you'd give up, that is something that you could lock into and say, all right, I need to get through this moment because this is what I'm trying to do. These are the people I'm trying to impact. And just focus on that and tying it into the other stuff, like trying the different things to see which one is working for you and keeping that focus, identifying the things that really set you off, that really stress you out and how your body responds to it. Then a combination of all those things you should be able to cope with stress having tried some of these things.
Some of these things, yeah. Well, if it is that you're still not sure in terms of what you can then use to cope with stress, we're hoping that you will, start the journey and start looking and find something that works for you. Our topic this time around was, how can stress impact relationships? I wouldn't just want to leave you out on a limb. We told you of different ways that you can cope with stress. Thank you, Roxanne.
You're most welcome.
This was Noreen Daly for Making It Last podcast, where it's all about helping you to have better relationships, not just with yourself, but with other people. Until next time.
You loving me, I loving you. Mothers and fathers, husbands and wives, sisters and brothers, friends for life, won't live in the past. All I wanna do now is making it last.